Let's start with the practice. So what I want to do here, I want you to all log in into your machines, okay, to your VM machines. And what we are going to do, basically, we are going to create users. We are going to modify all kinds of users, as we just mentioned. And then just that you will understand what does it mean in adding a username. So if you can please log in into your user and create a user and see how it goes. Okay. Please also send me ACK through the acknowledgement through the group chat, so I know that you are done or you have some questions. I will need each one of you confirming that you are doing it right now. Everybody did it? Okay, so basically what we are going to do here is that we are adding a user, and then we are adding all kinds of permissions, because when the user when he just started, he doesn't have any permission. So one of the things that you want to add, for example, is, and this is basically the answer to my question, and I want to try here. I'm going to do user add. User add, and by the way, I need to be a root, so I'm gonna do user add, and I'm gonna US user 1. I'm gonna add user 1, and I want it to be able to be a sudo. Okay, I'm gonna do user 1. Okay, so I created the user 1. Okay, so now I can do sudo su to switch user to user 1. So now I'm user 1, and as I'm user 1, I can do sudo sudo ls, and it asks me for permission. I don't have a password because I forgot to add a password. So let's do password user 1, and I'm gonna set it as password. No, it doesn't like it, so password, I'm just gonna set something. It doesn't like it. Let me see. I don't have permission to do it, so I'm gonna do exit. I'm gonna specify it here. I'm gonna do password user 1, and I'm gonna specify password. So now I'm gonna go back and change to user 1. I'm gonna try to do sudo ls, and it's gonna ask me for password, but it still says, hey, user 1 is not in the sudoers file. this incidents will be reported. So this is an example of, hey, somebody tried to do something without permission. So it's something that needs to be tracked. So now let's do something else. let's create a user2, okay? But we are going to create it with sudo permissions.
Professor, we are unable to see the screen.
Let me see. Now I'm an expert in this thing, and it's for some reason do the same thing. Can you see it now?
No, Professor. Professor, can we try doing this after the session so that once you were done doing this, we can refer to the video and try doing it ourselves?
Most definitely, yes, I think it's a good idea. Okay. So, and now let's go back and talk about and let's continue with the file descriptor discussion that we had before. So here what we did basically, we instead of writing and reading files like the CP example that we saw last time. In this time, what we are going to do is basically we are going to write a program that requests for a file name, right, and then execute the stat command that I showed you before. Okay, and what we see here is basically it accepts some arguments, and then it is basically taking the file that was accepted in the argument and execute the stat. And then once that it's done and it was not returned with error, it's basically printing the buffer size. It's printing the mode and the UD and the UID and the GID and the inode information, exactly as we saw in this example. Stat redis. So basically, this command is the source code, the primitive source code of this thing. So now, what I want you to do, as in your practice, is write and compile a program that accepts a file name as an argument and use one of the Unix system calls for I/O to open a file for writing. Okay, and then basically compile it and execute it. Okay, and usually, if we would be in a class, I would spend some time and go over with you on this thing. I have a solution. I don't want to share it with you right now. I will share, of course, this presentation, but I want you to try it yourself, because it's basically something very similar to this one and to the previous one. It's just that it's gonna give you some idea. Okay, and now this is the homework. I think that you already did it. I don't know if you did it. Were you able to install Apache HTTP server on Linux VM and see some things? Do you know how to do it? Do you know how to start looking at that?
No, Professor.
Okay. So how about I will show you that really quick. Essentially, So when you are starting with your Linux, with your Linux instance, when you want to install something, you are installing it with the command apt get install. This is the command. And if you want to install Apache, you just execute this command. Okay? So the reason that I want you to do it is it's not going to be that easy. Okay? I want you to go and do something like that. If you don't know, you can always open Google and say how to install Apache 2 on Linux Ubuntu. This was a very weird way to say it, but then you get here the instruction on how to do it. Now, one of the reasons that I want you to do it is basically it's going to give you some idea, and you're going to work through all kinds of aspects, operating system aspects that that will just allow you to feel more comfortable with that. Okay, so this is one of the things that I want you to do in your homework. Just spend some time, and again, it is important that you have the opportunity to go and look at Stack Overflow. By the way, Stack Overflow, it is very helpful. Stack Overflow. I don't know if you know it. This is a very good website that can help you understand how to do things and and it's related to programming, to administration, and stuff like that. That's really cool. That's about it. Is there any questions? Okay.
Professor,
Yes.
so after we install this Apache Tomcat on our VMs, how are we supposed to submit the solution? I mean, the assignment.
Oh, that's very easy. So what you need to do is basically once you install it and make it available, okay, what you basically can provide me with the URL, okay, that this Apache is running, okay.
Okay. Or can we post the screenshot or something?
You can post the screenshot. I guess that posting the screenshot will make more sense, because then you will not have to have the VM running, and you will have to spend most of your credit on this thing. So yeah, you can post the screenshot. That can also work.
Okay.
But the idea here is that I want you to start getting the feel of doing things on the cloud. So the first thing that you did was launching a VM and just do ls. Now I want you to do something else, and it's just a muscle that we're going to build. Any other questions? Okay, so now let's talk about the quiz. I am going to post a quiz. It's going to be relatively easy. It's just a quiz that will help me to assess if you are going through the material that we are covering in this course. It includes the textbook a lot, and it also includes the material that I'm discussing. Any questions about the quiz?
So will it be in a way that you will be posting the questions and then we need to solve them and submit it on Blackboard?
Yes, and it will be limited with time, so you cannot take it for sometimes. It's gonna be something like a 1 hour or 2 hours. It's gonna be a test.
Okay.
Okay. Don't worry. I think I would like to think about myself as a fair person. So I don't think that you will have something that you didn't see, you didn't hear, you didn't read. Okay?
You're gonna let us know when you're gonna.
Yes. You're gonna have a time frame that allows you to do it. So it's gonna be fair. So if you want to work on it during the weekend, I'm gonna open it during the weekend, or I can open it. I'm gonna make it available for at least something like 4 days. But but once that you start, you have to finish it within the time. You cannot stop it and yeah.
Great, thank you.
Okay, guys. So yeah, if you don't have any more questions, we are going to adjourn.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Professor.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome.